Welcome to today's Explainer. We are about to jump right into a completely fact-based, impartial look at what is easily one of the most isolated, heavily controlled environments on the planet, North Korea. We're going to unpack exactly how this regime micromanages millions of lives, drawing directly from incredibly detailed source accounts. So, let's take a look at the reality inside the Hermit Kingdom.
Okay, let's dive right into this because this first fact is wild. You know how in most legal systems you actually have to, take an action to commit a crime? Well, our source material outlines a totally different, honestly terrifying reality in North Korea. They have this concept of thought crimes. If you even just think about going against the government, and then you decide to confess and report that thought out of guilt, you still go to jail. The sources describe it as basically taking an axe to your own feet. Now, to really grasp how they pull off this level of psychological control, we've got to rewind the clock just a bit.
The foundation of this whole regime dates back to 1945. After 35 years of Japanese rule ended, the Korean peninsula was split right down the middle. The north fell under Soviet influence, and the south under American influence. Fast forward to 1948, and Kim Il-sung was made the leader of the newly formed Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Though, as our sources point out, there's literally never been anything democratic about it. Then, the Korean War hits in 1950, and here's the absolutely crucial takeaway. That war ended with an armistice, not a peace treaty. So, technically speaking, North and South Korea are still at war today. And that perpetual state of war, that is the ultimate justification the government uses for total, absolute state control.
And since that initial division, North Korea has been ruled by a single, uninterrupted dynasty. Power has just been passed straight down the line, from the founder, Kim Il-sung, to his son, Kim Jong-il, and now to his grandson, Kim Jong-un. Every single one of these rulers has relied on severe, uncompromising laws to keep a tight grip on power. The main goal of all these laws, to rule by fear, and to completely 100% block out any Western or South Korean cultural influence that might inspire everyday citizens to rebel.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how deep that isolation goes. I mean, they literally exist on their own timeline. While the rest of us are following the Gregorian calendar, North Korea operates on the Juche calendar. Year one isn't tied to ancient history at all. It starts in 1912. Why? Because that's the birth year of the founder, Kim Il-sung. So while you and I might be living in the year 2025, for a North Korean citizen living under this system, it is year 113.
Now, all this isolation helps the state build this weird illusion of freedom. Actually, you might be totally surprised to hear that North Korea holds elections, but the comparison is pretty stark. In a normal election, you choose between multiple candidates, right? In North Korea, voting is 100% mandatory, and the ballot has exactly one name on it, one state-chosen candidate. You cannot choose anyone else, and if you don't show up to vote, you're labeled a traitor. So why even hold them? Well, it functions as a massive nationwide loyalty test. Getting a 100% turnout for one candidate lets the government project this image of absolute unity and power. And that National Assembly they elect, they basically just act as a rubber stamp for Kim Jong-un's decisions.
Of course, to maintain that 100% loyalty, you've got to control the narrative 100%. In North Korea, the TV and radio stations are entirely owned and operated by the state. Private media doesn't exist. Televisions are permanently locked to state channels, like Korean Central Television, and it is strictly illegal to try and tune in to anything else. They actually go so far as to physically disable the NTSC tuners on imported TVs. And the only thing broadcasting on that single channel is endless praise for the Kim dynasty and intense state-sponsored propaganda, mostly aimed at brewing up hatred for the United States.
So you're probably wondering, okay, but what about the internet? Well, average citizens do not get the global internet. They get Kwangmyong. This is a closed-off, heavily surveilled domestic intranet system, completely walled off from the rest of the world. The state watches exactly what people are reading, watching, and talking about. You can't even make an international phone call without strict permission from the state. The digital wall around this country is, for the average person, entirely impenetrable.
So, we've looked at the big picture, macro-level stuff, right? The timeline, the elections, the media. But let's bring this right down to the ground level. The details from our source material show how this immense control funnels all the way down into the most mundane, everyday personal choices of the citizens.
Just take a look at this list of banned items. Blue jeans, brightly colored clothes, dyed hair, completely forbidden. You even have to pick your haircut from a state-approved list. And you can't just eat whatever you're craving either. Hot dogs, banned because they represent American culture. Dishes like tteokbokki banned because they're South Korean. In 2024, the regime even cracked down and banned sunglasses and wedding dresses. And if you're caught watching a South Korean drama or a Hollywood movie, that's not a slap on the wrist. That's classified as ideological contamination, and it can land you straight in a penal labor camp.
And this total lack of autonomy extends to your physical movement and property too. You can't own a home, land, or a business. The state owns all of it. You're just allowed to use it. Want to ride a bicycle? You've got to pass a road safety test, get a license, and register it with a license plate. Want to visit the next town over? You need a strict travel permit. Passports are pretty much just for the elite, like government officials. Oh, and if you're commuting on the metro, don't expect a relaxing ride. Instead of playing music, the stations just blast speeches from the Kim family, and citizens are actually forbidden from talking or making noise while they play.
I want you to focus on this number for a second. 10. In North Korea, every single citizen is required to rote memorize the 10-point ideological principles. And let me be super clear about this. You cannot make a mistake. If you stumble over even a single word while reciting these principles, you can be labeled a traitor. And as you might guess, the name of Kim Il-sung appears in every single one of those 10 points.
But that number 10 holds another incredibly heavy significance in the life of a North Korean. 10 is also the mandatory number of years that every single citizen, male and female, must serve in the military, starting at the incredibly young age of 17. The militarization of their society is absolute.
But honestly, perhaps the most rigid, inescapable structure controlling everyday life is a social classification system called songbun. Under this deeply entrenched caste system, a North Korean citizen's entire existence, all their opportunities, and their supposed value to the state are decided the exact moment they are born.
And this brilliantly illustrates how it works. The songbun system divides the whole country into 3 strict tiers. At the very top is the core class, the loyalists. These are the descendants of revolutionaries or war veterans. They get the best jobs, the right to live in the capital city of Pyongyang, and they are literally the only ones allowed to own cars. In the middle, you have the wavering class, ordinary workers and farmers. They get standard facilities, but they are heavily monitored. And at the very bottom is the hostile class. If your ancestors practiced a religion or had ties to South Korea, the government considers you an inherent traitor. You're cast out to do grueling manual labor in mines. Social mobility? Completely non-existent. Even basic survival necessities like water, gas, and electricity are strictly rationed based on which class you fall into.
So what happens if you step out of line? If you wear the wrong clothes, watch a banned movie, or speak out against this system? Well, we are going to shift now to look at the deeply punitive, horrifying structures designed to absolutely crush any hint of rebellion.
Look at the number 3. This represents one of the most extreme rules detailed in our source material, the 3 generations of punishment. This means if one person is found guilty of a crime against the state, it isn't just them who gets shipped off to a labor camp. Their entire family goes. And if a baby is born to that family while they're in the camp, that newborn baby is instantly branded a traitor. The regime punishes 3 full generations just to ensure that the blood of rebellion is entirely wiped out. Because of consequences like that, absolute paranoia is just woven into the fabric of the community. You have neighborhood government spies monitoring everyone's daily moves. From birth until death, citizens have to attend weekly, mandatory self-criticism sessions. Just imagine standing in a room every single week, forced to confess your own minor flaws, like hiding a weakness, or maybe not praising Kim Jong-un enthusiastically enough, while your peers sit there and criticize you. On top of that, your phones and USB drives are regularly tossed by authorities looking for foreign content. It is a completely suffocating environment of psychological surveillance.
And yet, the regime works overtime to hide this reality from the outside world. They actually build fake churches just to show international observers that religious freedom exists. But if a local citizen actually tries to practice a religion, they're sent straight to a labor camp. The same goes for tourism. If you visit, you have to have a state guide, you are restricted to very specific, approved paths, you can't just take photos freely, and you are absolutely barred from interacting with regular locals without permission. It's a completely curated theatrical performance.
And that theatrical performance extends to the locals themselves. There are these surreal rules mandating physical displays of loyalty. On the death anniversaries of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, crying is strictly compulsory. If you don't shed tears, your loyalty is instantly suspected. On top of that, every single home must hang portraits of the leaders, and it is legally mandated that those portraits be kept absolutely spotless at all times.
Which brings us to a massive, vital question. If the internet is totally closed off, if tourists are basically blindfolded by guides, and the citizens are locked inside this regime of fear, how do we actually know all these incredibly specific details about the rules and punishments?
Well, the answer comes down to extreme human bravery and modern technology. Basically, everything we've covered in this explainer comes from three main sources. First, the thousands of defectors who have managed the incredibly dangerous task of fleeing the regime since 1953, sharing their lived experiences with the world. Second, modern spy satellites that look down from above, revealing the massive, undeniable scale of the prison camps. And third, incredibly brave citizens who secretly record footage inside the country and literally smuggle it out on USB drives across the Chinese border.
So, we've seen how the state controls the timeline, the media, the clothes, the food, your social standing, and even the fate of your family. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative final thought. Look at your own life. Look at your ability to choose what you watch, what you wear, and what you think. In a society where even your private thoughts are policed by the state, what does it truly mean to be free? Thank you so much for learning with me today. Keep asking questions, keep analyzing the facts, and I'll see you in the next explainer.